What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. Today we've got another live fantasy football mock draft for you back on FantasyPros with a 10-team full PPR mock where we will be drafting from that 10th spot, last overall spot. Should be pretty entertaining. Our roster, 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, a flex, and then 5 bench spots as always. But that's pretty much it. So let's kick this thing off. And while we wait for it to load, a quick reminder, if you enjoy, hit that like button, subscribe, give us a follow on Twitter, X at AllDayPigskin to continue interacting with us there. Let us hear it in the comments, your thoughts, along with any questions you guys might have. We will do our best to answer them all. But with that being said, let's take a look at what has transpired so far. We are on the clock, but the first 9 picks, more importantly, were as follows. They were Jamar Chase, Bijan Robinson, Chalk, Justin Jefferson, yep, to be expected, Jahmyr Gibbs, sure, 104. Then CeeDee Lamb at the 105. So the first 3 wide receivers, the first 3 running backs, Saquon Barkley at the 106. Nothing too crazy there to be expected. Then Malik Neighbors, Amon-Ra St. Brown. It's really once you get past those top 3 wide receivers that when you're in the category of Amon-Ra, Puka, Malik Neighbors, Nico, that you can kind of go in any order. I would argue with those guys. Then you've got an Achane at the 109 who I like. Let's take a look at our cheat sheet to kind of have a better view of what's left available. So again, as a reminder, this is a full PPR league, 10-team. So what does that mean? Well, I would argue that means that we have a chance at the end of what would it would be the 3rd round, right? To land somebody like a Chase Brown and or a Josh Jacobs and or a Jonathan Taylor. So I say that because, I'm not as motivated to necessarily take 2 running backs here back to back. If I did, I would probably go with like an Ashton Genty and a McCaffrey or like a Derrick Henry, some type of combination of those 3. And then I would kind of just see what's going on in the 3rd round. But like I said, I think we have a chance that Chase Brown gets back to us in the 3rd round. Whereas, somebody on the ilk of Chase Brown, wide receiver wise, I think kind of dies out after like the Drake Londons, the Brian Thomases, the AJ Browns of the world. And I think those guys much more likely go at the end of the 2nd or start of the 3rd. So basically what I'm going to end up doing here is going with a wide receiver running back combo. I think I'm probably going to lean with a Nico Collins. I have him ranked slightly higher than I do Puka Nacua. Given the addition of Devontae Adams. And then I'm going to go with the running back in Ashton Genty. If I wanted to go a little bit higher risk, higher reward, I would go Christian McCaffrey. But I will go with Genty for now. I feel like he is a, safe pick here. And it'll really be interesting what we have available to us in the 3rd round. Because, again, with these 10-team leagues, I can argue that the first 2 rounds are going to be really, really simple for the most part. So after we went Nico Collins and Ashton Genty, it was Drake London, Christian McCaffrey, names that we mentioned. Puka Nacua drops to the 204 spot, really good value. Derrick Henry at the 205, really good value. Brian Thomas, AJ Brown. So we were right about those names towards the end of the 2nd. It Ladd McConkey, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Brock Bowers. So tight end start towards the end of the 2nd, which I think is much more appropriate compared to like early 2nd, which I've seen sometimes. Then to kick off the 3rd round, we have Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams, Trey McBride, Garrett Wilson. Again, I like to do these on differing platforms, ESPN, Yahoo, FantasyPros, kind of the most popular ones out there, ESPN and Yahoo being the ones probably most of us are going to do our actual leagues on. So that we can compare where some of these guys are ranked because, I've done 12-teamers where Garrett Wilson is available close to the, 4th round, start of the 4th round. So, again, the rankings are different everywhere. Chase Brown, unfortunately, goes at 305, so it doesn't make it back to us. I think that that's a much likelier ADP for him. Bucky Irving, if not earlier. Then Josh Allen, first quarterback, followed by T. Higgins and Josh Jacobs. So here for me, I know I'm going to go with one of these picks as a running back. I think that Jonathan Taylor probably has the highest upside out of these running backs that are left. So he's going to be one of our picks. let's go with Jonathan Taylor, make that easy for us. And let's show you our team here on the left. So we've got Ashton Genty, Jonathan Taylor, Nico Collins. We could get somebody like, a Kyron Williams or an Alvin Kamara. I want to look at the big board for a little bit, though, to see where these guys are ranked. Kamara ranked 41st. We're essentially going to have to wait 20 more picks until we make another selection. So I don't think that guys like Kamara, Marvin Harrison are going to get back to us. We just have to make a decision. Do we go with, another wide receiver? Do we go with the running back? I don't want to take a tight end at this point. I don't want to take a quarterback either. I want to have a more balanced roster. Yes, I realize the premier positions are a little bit more important, quarterback, tight end, in these smaller leagues. But I also don't want to have a big drop off at the skill positions either. So with that being the case here, I think I am leaning wide receiver. I think we have a chance of maybe landing like a Chuba Hubbard later on, which I'd be okay with. Here I'm looking at Rashee Rice, Marvin Harrison. Those are my top two targets. I've done so many of these mock drafts where I've gone Marvin Harrison where, over and over and over and over. I feel like I'm beating a dead horse. For the sake of having this a little bit different, I'm going to pivot a little bit, but I continue to say Marvin Harrison here, if this was the real deal, would be my pick 10 times out of 10. I'll go Rashee Rice here to switch it up a little bit. Kyron Williams and or Alvin Kamara, though, are tempting. I will continue to say that. So we go with Rashee Rice, and let's see what transpires here in the next couple of selections. If I was right with my logic, so we went with Rashee Rice. Then it was Kyron Williams, so immediately off the board, Breece Hall, George Kittle, Mike Evans, Lamar, Jaden. There goes Kamara, Kenneth Walker. Chuba Hubbard goes earlier than I expected at the 410. Then Terry McLaurin, Joe Burrow, Jalen Hurts, DJ Moore, Joe Mixon. There goes Marvin Harrison. So, we had a chance. We were only 3 picks off. Otherwise, we would have had Marvin Harrison here as our flex, and I would have been very, very happy. Then it was James Cook, Travis Hunter, DK Metcalf. Also, we get sniped on Metcalf. I really like the squad here at the 109 selection. Achane, London, Jacobs, Kyron Williams, and DK Metcalf. A lot of these guys, I think, were value picks. A lot of these guys, didn't have to reach and have high upside. So I really like the squad. Honestly, this is my favorite team so far, just being, again, completely honest with you guys. So compared to the squad we have, balance, Nico Collins, Rashee Rice, a bit of a question mark there due to him coming off of injury. But, you saw what he was doing last year when he was healthy. Nico Collins, I think, is fine. Safe player. Genty, Jonathan Taylor. Just kind of have to see what happens with that Indy offense. Going back to our cheat sheet, I'm looking at names here. I think that James Conner, David Montgomery are kind of tempting. I think there's a chance maybe that RJ Harvey falls to us in the next round, even though it's probably a stretch. But right now, the way I'm thinking is, do we think James Conner stays healthy for the entirety of the season? Who knows? But I do think he probably has a little bit higher upside than David Montgomery, kind of in that complementary role to Jahmyr Gibbs. So to me, it really is between Conner and Montgomery. I'll go with James Conner. And then we'll make another selection. There's something to be said about just going David Montgomery and James Conner here, which I might, honestly. I think I will. I honestly think I will. I want to get some more running back depth, and let's see what happens afterwards. I know there's going to be a run on wide receivers. There's going to be a run on some guys that I like at probably tight end. So we went with James Conner and David Montgomery. Then it was Evan Ingram, T.J. Hawkinson, Cortland Sutton, Sam Laporta. So 3 tight ends back to back to back, almost. Devonta Smith, O'Marion Hampton, Zay Flowers, Jameson Williams. There goes R.J. Harvey. But, I mean, when I committed to Connor and Montgomery, I kind of said bye to another running back. Then Baker Mayfield, Chris Olave, Pacheco, Chris Godwin, Jalen Waddle, Patrick Mahomes, DeAndre Swift, Quinshon Judkins, and Brock Purdy. So, if we were to go with a quarterback here, it'd probably be Kyler Murray. Let me see how many quarterbacks have been drafted so far, though. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So only one more is going to be selected realistically. So I think we can wait and just wind up with one of Kyler Murray and or Bo Nix. So what I'm looking at right now, I think Jerry Jeudy could be a decent option. Who else? Roma Dunze, Calvin Ridley with an upgrade at quarterback. I'm looking at the tight ends. I'll wait on tight end. Let's just load up on wide receiver here. So one of our picks, I think Tedero McMillan is way too overhyped. Like, I get it. You want to go crazy with the rookies. He was the first wide receiver taken. Trust me, as a Panthers fan, I know what that wide receiver room looks like. He's not, he could be the number one wide receiver, but that's not going to translate to a 1,000+ yard type of season. There's just too many mouths to feed over there. So now here, we're going to go with Calvin Ridley as an upside play. Yeah, I think that Rashee Rice is the wide receiver you want in Kansas City. George Pickens, number 2. Addison, number 2. Ridley can be the number 1 in Tennessee, right? So let's go with Calvin Ridley. And now we wait. We've got, how many more? 3 more selections to make. So we're almost done with this thing. Looking at the draft board to see what happened here. After we went Jeudy and Ridley, Tedero McMillan, Henderson, Tony Pollard, Xavier Worthy, Jordan Addison, Jordan Pickens, Aaron Jones at that point is a really good value. Roma Dunze I also like. But again, I just want to mix it up a little bit. Travis Etienne, Jalen Warren, Kelsey, Brian Robinson I like, and Njoku, Jonnu Smith, Pearsall, Javonte Williams, Justin Fields, Jacoby Myers. So right now, I think Tyrone Tracy's not a bad pick. What do we have at tight end here? So at tight end, I think that we can probably, honestly, wait another go at it. Maybe we just go with here Tyrone Tracy and then a Kyler Murray or a Bo Nix. So let's go with Tyrone Tracy and then pull the trigger on quarterback. I think I'll go with Bo Nix. I think that'll be a little bit more consistency in that offense. And then we'll make one last selection, or I guess last 2 selections, going tight end and another bench player. So tight end here, Mark Andrews is still there. Jake Ferguson, I don't mind. Mark Andrews is a big name, but do you actually believe in him? That's another question. I think I probably lean, maybe we just take 2 tight ends here, call it a day. Even though there's some tight ends later on that I like. I guess I'll go with Mark Andrews and Jake Ferguson. Let's make sure I'm not skipping on any crazy value here. Any handcuffs, anything like that. I'm not seeing anything that sticks out at me too much. If you're making the case that I can go maybe a quarterback, to me that's almost the same thing as whether it's 2 quarterbacks, 2 tight ends. Wide receiver, I think has the best value. So like a Diggs, Pittman, Josh Downs, Cooper Kupp. Maybe I'll just do that. Maybe I'll take a Diggs and then I'll take just 1 tight end and realize that this is a situation where the benches are smaller than normal. So keep that in mind. And, we're kind of drafting a tight end for the sake of just completing the roster. So let's go with Mark Andrews and, wrap up the squad, and let's see the grade that we get and see if we agree. We get a B- grade. Honestly, I think that's kind of appropriate. I don't love my tight end situation. I don't necessarily love my quarterback situation. I think that maybe even like a C type of grade. Like I said, I think we were really close to a different looking draft. When I pointed out some of the names that Team 9 was able to get with the first 5 picks, like we were literally one pick away with some of those guys. So, every different mock has its own flavor, but I still think we got some good values. I think we've got depth on our bench. So, from that perspective, I think it should be a competitive squad. But hey, let me know your thoughts. If you guys enjoyed, hit that like button, subscribe, give us a follow on Twitter, @AllDayPigskin to continue interacting with us there. But in the meantime, we'll see you guys in future videos.